Welcome to Heart Riffing, a podcast by way of the heart. Here we explore what it means to reconnect with your essence and live from a place of personal freedom. If you're interested in learning more about our courses, mentoring and workshops, feel free to visit wayoftheheart.com.au. We're so glad you're here and we hope you enjoy the episode. Hi, and welcome back to Heart Riffing, a podcast by way of the heart. This is our 30th episode.
Yes, welcome back to 30.
I'm very excited. Not that I didn't think that we'd get to this point, but I'm thrilled that we have.
But what's the stat?
What do you mean? Oh, the stat
There's a stat. There's a big 30 stat.
I know. Apparently, more than 90% of podcasts don't get to 30 episodes.
Wow.
So we've made it, basically.
Yeah. So welcome to our last podcast.
Yeah. Now that we've achieved
We don't want to be extraordinary, so we're wrapping it up.
Absolutely.
No,
You're doing it.
But no, we're just getting started.
We are. And we're doing a fun episode today.
I thought we'd just do something in celebration of 30. I thought we should do something that celebrates the significance of that and reflects who we really are at our core.
Okay. Who are we at our core?
We're going to do the sacredness of mischief today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so here for it.
Yeah, cool.
Because we are mischievous.
We are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So mischievousness is what we're going to cover.
Okay, I'm here for it.
You want me to start?
Sure. Mischievousness. Where did this
come from?
Yeah, where did this idea come from?
I think it comes from this. I think it comes from this idea that so often we can be operating with intentionality and focus, and we can be part of a team of people or part of a situation that requires real seriousness. And there's a moment where the seriousness and the intensity and the intent almost just becomes like a heavy blanket. You know those weight blankets that people buy?
Yeah.
And they like it because it pins them into the bed.
It's like a hug.
Oh my Lord, I would hate that. You know, I can't throw the doona around the room. I don't want it on me. But yeah, it becomes like a weight blanket on you, and it just becomes heavy. Everything becomes heavy, and then it's like we're wading through mud now. Yeah, it's like, oh, every step is effortful. One of the things that breaks those moments and those seasons open, necessarily breaks them open, is just someone who just goes, I've had enough of this. And they don't do something deconstructive. This is not about trying to tear the house down. It's not about trying to break anything. But what they do is that they do something mischievous. They do something that just shifts the whole tone. And all of a sudden it cracks open. It's like throwing the blanket back, or it's cracking open the kind of the glass ceiling that was ever getting ever closer. Think of those. You ever seen those movies in? I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if this happened in like Maze Runner, where they run into a corridor and all of a sudden it's like shrinking.
Like it's giving like Indiana Jones
vibe.
Yeah. Some old booby trap or something.
Yeah. And paradoxically, Indiana Jones movies are great because I'm in an Egyptian pyramid. I've been dropped in there with no rope, with a beautiful woman and nothing but my whip and a chamber full of snakes. And once I've escaped them, I'm now in a room with a rolling ball chasing me down, only to go into a room which is shrinking.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about Indiana Jones movies is in amidst all that tension, there's humour, a look on Harrison Ford's face, or a quip from the sidekick or whatever it is. And that's the place of mischief. Mischief is like this. Yeah, this is very serious. This is all very heavy, but it's the person that tells the joke at the funeral. And everyone sort of is crying and laughing. Like everyone is crying, but then someone says, "Oh, do you remember?" Like I did my mum's funeral,
Mm-hmm.
and my mum wasn't a funny lady, but she was a delightful lady.
Yep.
So it wasn't appropriate for it to be all heady, like heavy.
Like cerebral.
Yeah,
And intense.
there's things that mum did that just like you go, that's just so mum.
Yeah.
People said random stuff. One of my cousins said, Auntie Betty took Stephen to the zoo and let him get too close to the elephant. And people thought the elephant was going to tread on him. No, I don't know the truth of that, but it sounds like something that my mum could do. And everyone sort of sat there and went, yeah.
Checks out.
Betsy might let an elephant tread on you,
Yeah.
It's like something like that. So it's that moment of kind of mischievousness that just breaks something open.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I thought we could focus on.
I love that. I think it's an important topic to address, especially because I think when we're dealing with Way of the Heart, or when we meet people, or where we meet people on Way of the Heart, is usually probably in some point of crisis or in some point of suddenly realizing that they really need to regain direction or reconnect to themselves. And that can be quite a arduous, or it can be
intense.
Yeah, a really intense process. But I think that levity and mischievousness is just as important an aspect of rediscovering and grounding in self as, any other practice.
Yeah. No, I think that's completely true.
I guess on that kind of line of thinking, how has this played a part in your return to essence, or in your grounding in essence?
Well, I think what it does is it just invites humor into, and if you look at all the wisdom traditions, there's an enormous amount of humor in a lot of the wisdom traditions. Guangzhou in the Taoist tradition writes quite humorously. And sometimes when you're reading some of those wisdom traditions too, you need to realize that some of this is not cynicism, but it's sardonic, it's ironic. A lot of the wisdom traditions play with irony. They introduce something and you go, wow. Like in Duangzhi stuff, it's like a gigantic fish or a bird that circumnavigates the universe, it's like you just go, or a gnarled tree. Like there's one example with Duangzhi where someone says, oh, that tree's useless, it's so gnarled, it's ancient and gnarled, and it sits on the edge of the village. And Duangzhi goes, that's a brilliant tree. Like, why is it a brilliant tree? It's like, well, because it's so crooked and gnarled and knotty that no one's ever thought to cut it down. It's kind of preserved itself. If I was a tree, I'd want to be like that.
Yeah, totally.
And you go, oh yeah, you're right. So it's just introducing that thing that just shifts the tone. That little break, like I've found them so valuable. Those little breaks, those little things that just snap you out of the lane that we're in and go, oh, it's over here. So sometimes when I used to mentor pastors, and it was such heavy work, the church was shrinking, significantly. And I would go, and one of my roles that I used to have was to go and visit pastors and to talk to them and stuff like that. And often I'd find myself showing them South Park clips.
Deeply spiritual South Park clips.
And I'd go, I've got this YouTube clip to show you.
Yeah.
And it was a particular South Park clip, which we won't reference. And they just go, yes. And it was inappropriate. It was mischievous, and almost to a T, no one ever went to me and goes, like, you really shouldn't be playing that.
Yeah, right.
They would all look at me and go, that's exactly what I want to say to my church. That's exactly, and we'd have a great laugh. And it was like, it would just gave you a different way to now come into the situation.
It's really interesting that you talk about this different way of coming into a situation, because levity doesn't distract you from the situation. Like, it doesn't pull you out of presence in a situation. Whereas I think that a lot of other approaches act as a complete distraction or as a kind of a blocking. Like if you look at a lot of coping mechanisms, how people cope with heaviness, it's usually through some type of obfuscation or avoidance. It's like I'm doom scrolling, or I'm, you know, I don't know, abusing substances or engaging in something that takes me out of being present in that moment. And I think the unique thing with being mischievous and, you know, having humor is that it allows you to stay in that space, but not with the same amount of tension as before.
Completely.
So I think it's really beautiful and unique in that regard.
Yeah, it is a release valve. It's like going to the pressure cooker and releasing that valve, and all the you know, maybe not all the pressure comes out, but some of the pressure comes out, right? The other thing that maybe is worth thinking about is like the person that can't do that, the person that sees mischievousness as like inappropriate. Like, why are you doing that? That tells you something. Like that's a scary thing when you can't suspend the thing that you're in at the moment because you're too enmeshed in it. That's a warning sign for me. Example?
What's it a warning sign of? And then an example would be
it's just a warning sign that you're overinvested. It's just a warning sign that your ground of being is getting dragged into something, and you're not discerning the difference between this thing here that we're doing, which is very important, and you know. And of course you bring your whole person to issues. You know, it's like Way of the Heart, as we've been building Way of the Heart. You know, there's any number of challenges in building a startup and putting stuff online and doing all the stuff that has to happen, right? But there's a moment where you just go like, okay, but just don't get overly invested in it. Like just don't escalate this to the point where this now seeps into every area of your life. It's like you're taking it too seriously.
Is that a problem because you start to lose sight of the witness? Like you're so wrapped up in the situation that you can't, do you know what I mean? Like you can't separate yourself from that anymore? Yeah,
I think so. For sure. I think it's like that.
Yeah. Is there like an example that we can drop?
Well, I mean, the best examples are like your own personal relationships with your partner or someone that you're close to, or your family member or whatever it is, right? Where, you know, I know in my relationship with Bloss, she's a significant primary other in my life, is that, you know, we can get, you know, things come up, and as a couple we're dealing with those things. We had one of the members of our family, you know this, had a very serious health issue arise, and it was intense. There's no dodging it. It was seriously, seriously intense, and it was life-threatening, right? And so, you know, there's no, it's not a situation you could be glib or, you know, just go, oh, well, don't worry about it, she'll be right. Like, well, no, there's solid stats that say maybe she won't be right. But one of the things that we would do is we would just go and play. We would go and play golf. And it wasn't mischievousness, but it was playfulness, which sort of sits in the same category. Just go and do something mindless. Go and hit that ball. Why? Because you want to get your handicap down? No. Just want to put something on the ground and whack it.
Yeah.
You know? Beat the crap out of this ball.
Hit something.
I hit something. You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm going to try and get on the green in two. You know that there's water in front? Yep. I won't go in. Plop. I'm going to try again. I remember Bloss sometimes, you know, on the first hole at a particular golf course we went to, I remember Bloss just sometimes like dropping ball after ball after ball after ball, going, I am going to get over, I am going to get over, I am going to get over. It's like, I need to be a second-hand ball person on the other side. They're just with a pair of swimmers on getting all the Bloss's balls. But it was just silliness. It was just playfulness. It was just like, I don't know. But it was a circuit breaker, right? And it meant this situation is intense and we need to show up for it. But we also need to be able to play. We also need, and sometimes mischievousness is the key that unlocks the door to playfulness. That's good. I mean,
talk more about that.
holy smokes!
God.
No, you talk about that. Well, what do you think? You do that little mischievousness, and then all the heat goes out, and then you can suddenly everyone starts to relax.
Yeah, I think the place that my brain went was, if you're somebody who's so deep in the situation, in the not mischievousness, or the playfulness, I think then can't you sort of look at play or mischief and go, well, I can't even conceive of anything that would look like mischief or play because I don't have time for that. I'm in this
completely the busyness cult,
right?
The cult of I'm so busy.
Yeah,
I've always hated that cult.
Yeah,
I'm never busy.
So then, like, what do we say to that person? Because say, like, that family member who had that really serious health issue, it could, when you're in the severity of that and you're in almost that crisis mode, but when that's sort of weighing on you, it's almost like counterintuitive to go, I'm just going to go play golf, Or
I'm going to just have a laugh or do something.
Yeah.
It completely is counterintuitive, but it also is the therapy that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It is the therapy that's needed. It's the person that tells the joke at the funeral that's needed because it allows people to truly remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sitting with the person who has a terminal illness. And I remember, I'll give you an example. I remember back in the day, a lady that I wrote about her in my first book, and she was passing away. And this was back when she was very Christian, right? So, the conversation was always about going to heaven, And the day she told me that she was terminally ill, she asked me to come into her bedroom, and she shared with me. And my first response was a bit glib. I went, oh, Ellen, you're going to get there first. You're going to beat me there.
Yeah.
Not that I believe in heaven, but Ellen definitely did. I went, you're going to beat me. You're going to get there first. And it was delightful because she had a little chuckle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, it was not, oh, you're dying. That's the worst thing. It's like, oh, you're going to win. It wasn't disrespectful to whatever she was going through. It was just a little quip that allowed both of us to go, okay, we know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We could settle into our friendship again because she was I would say she was probably my first and truest mentor.
Mm-hmm. I
would call her my spiritual mother. I loved my mother, but Ellen was a spiritual mother to me. And it was fun. It was always fun being with her. And that little bit of mischievous reminded her of, I know this is serious. I know I'm going to lose you and you're going to leave, but let's have a bit of fun with this. And she got it, right?
Right. So it's the therapy that's needed.
Well, I think so. And that's why we're sort of talking about it, because it is, as you said, really counterintuitive,
And I guess like something that I want to circle back to, because I think it was good when you said it. You said that mischief is like the gateway to play.
I think it's playful, yeah.
Can we, I guess, differentiate between those two?
Well, mischievousness often just happens in a moment, but then in that moment, it kind of opens a door to everyone else letting their guard down, coming out of the weightiness of it, of whatever it is, and even allowing yourself off the hook. So there's some people that, there's a really interesting activity that my best mate and I did, is that we would talk about the people at our table.
Oh, yeah.
People around our table.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is this idea that, like we show up in different ways. So there's Gregory, which is a serious version of me. There's Greg, which is an extroverted version of me that I'm not that much in love with. There's Bello, the village elder that probably most of you know. And if you get a book, it'll be signed by Bello because he's the sort of the serious spiritual cat. And then there's the terrorist. That's the part of me that just wants to burn the house down, which is the deconstructor. And then there's another person at my table which my best mate and I name Charlie the Kid. And Charlie the Kid is just the guy that just goes, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go and I just want to play a game now.
Yeah.
So I remember consulting a friend of mine who was running a church, and it was all very serious, and there was a lot of opposition to him. And we were trying to do what's called an appreciative inquiry into the business and figure a whole lot of stuff out and just really try and save this whole community enterprise, right? And it was all so heavy, and we had a series of meetings that were all so heavy. And then it got to 1 o'clock, and I just said, have you got a tennis ball and a cricket bat? Yeah, there's in the kids' room, there's probably in the youth hall, there's probably a tennis ball and a cricket bat. And I go, great, let's go and play indoor cricket.
Yeah.
So we pushed all the chairs out of the way in the auditorium, this very sacred, serious auditorium where people worship God. It was like an indoor cricket arena for me and this guy for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
People walk in and go, what are you guys doing? I'm going, it's left arm over at the moment,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it to come in, it's like, what's he doing? He's on 48. I got to get him out. You know? And it's like the senior pastor and the consultant are in there playing cricket in the church.
Yeah.
That's just not right.
This is so this is interesting because I had a similar approach when I would teach.
Yeah.
When I was a teacher, both in Japan and in high school, I always wanted to bring that levity into a classroom.
Yeah.
And so, you'd be teaching some variation of English, and I'd be like, let's play a game of basketball, and we'd create I don't know, paper and chuck it at a hoop, or I'd draw a circle on the board and see who could peg it the closest and then recite the word or whatever. And I did that partially because I hate the whole teacher stands at the front and lectures the students, but more so because a lot of these kids aren't going to remember that key point they're not going to remember the verb conjugation or a clause or whatever it is, but they're going to remember the overall experience of that.
Yeah.
And that experience is going to serve them better. The attitude and the soft skill that comes from that is going to serve them better than rote learning clauses, that kind of thing.
I think that's a really powerful example, because what you effectively did is, instead of worrying about the content and pushing content into potentially a vessel or a mind that wasn't ready to receive it, you said, how about I create an environment for that individual where the environment is engaging and they like being here.
Totally.
In which case, every time they come to learn something else, if the environment can be engaging, then you shift the whole dynamic of the learning process. Just through scrunching up paper and throwing it at a circle on a whiteboard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the exact example. That's a brilliant example of exactly the same. It's the sacredness of mischief, because it opens the door to playfulness. And if you and I both know, playfulness is one of the key ways that kids, especially kids in early days, learn. Take them to playgroup. That's the first thing we take kids to.
Yep.
Playgroup.
Well, we lose this as adults to
100% we do. Yeah.
So why do we lose it, and how do we get it back?
Well, good question. I don't really know. I'm not sure that I've lost it, actually, but I am a hermit on a hill. So, but I always like a bit of mischief whenever we have business meetings and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a really good question. Let's explore it. How do you reckon we get it back?
Okay, I'm going to go back to go forwards. I think we lose it because it's conditioned out of us.
Yeah.
I think that we're on board the way that we're supposed to do things, and we do that with gravity. So we kind of take on this role of, well, if I'm going to be taken seriously, then I need to act serious and take things seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why we lose it.
Yeah.
And I think that we get it back through stepping back from, or looking at that particular structure and going, nah.
Yeah.
This isn't everything. This
that's
ends
a great
anyway.
point. I think that's such a good point. Because it's not. I mean, I read newspapers. I think the world is in a very, very serious place at the moment, geopolitically, socially, even locally. I'm sitting here now and I can't shift the dial on any of that.
Mm.
And so, wandering around the house with a kind of, contained angst about the state of the world actually doesn't do anything.
Mm.
I can't even write from that perspective. So I am a writer. So when I was in the task of writing my first book, I would go to the beach every morning and I would walk up and down the same beach as a matter of just going, I can't, the heaviness that I've got about coming out of corporate and about all that was for me, I can't write with that. That is not a person that anyone wants to meet on the page. Like, I just don't want to meet that person.
Mm-mm.
I have to go and walk on the beach and I have to see the waves coming in and the waves going out and the different formations of the sand and trudge through it. And sometimes it's high tide and it's hard to walk on the soft sand. Sometimes it's low tide and you can walk on the semi-wet sand and it's easy, flatter. It's like, but the very visceral process of just going down and having a moment to pick up a shell, walk up a beach, walk back, shifted the tone in me, so that I didn't come home and feel like I had to write out of that person because that person was just too heavy, Yeah. How do you misbehave? Well, mischievousness and misbehave, it kind of predicates breaking the rules. So what little rules do you break?
It's a good question. I think it depends on the context, but I mean, I feel like for me, any form of unencumbered self-expression is play or is mischievous for me. So like I dance, yeah, about 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, I'll dance.
Yeah.
And that is play because it's it's problem solving and it's not serious. It's a hobby, but it brings me so much life, and it's something that like no one else can sort of look at and judge me on, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So I think that, but I guess sort of outside of a hobby as well, because we were talking about how to bring mischief and levity into the everyday and how to get it back. And I think that it's easy to look at that in sort of like a workplace or a large societal existential way. But I think that this can be done in relationships as well. Like Ted and I will be in a discussion and then we'll have a moment where we're like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like, or we'll have a moment where we go, yeah, this is a really important conversation that needs to be had. But also we exist outside of this too. And that's fine. So I think anything that sort of, for me, anything that breaks from. Well, yeah. What about you then?
For me, mine is always a quip, like an observation or a little bit of sarcasm or irony. Like I love all that sort of stuff. I'll make observational quip.
Yes.
Is me? Would you say that's true?
Yeah, totally. If mine's hyperbole.
Yeah, right.
And then yours is quippy.
Yeah, I'll say something a bit pointed or sharp or something like that, which will either be seen as hilariously funny or completely inappropriate and unrealised, and people will say some bullshit like, that's not very guru. And I was like, I don't even want to be a guru. Hey. Stop judging me by that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So then, like, to land this for the listener.
Yeah. Because hyperbole and quip isn't very helpful.
Yeah. Next time you're in a really serious,
be more hyperbolic
argument or business meeting, just whip out like a South Park clip.
A South Park video.
So yeah, I guess what would your advice be?
I think my advice is just that all of you will have just little ways that you just get on. Like, picture this as you're on the train. It pulls into the station and it's just your way of like just getting off the train. It's just your way of stepping out of or stepping off the seriousness of your life. Because like we said, geopolitics, a bunch of stuff going on. I can't shift it. Sometimes it's better to laugh at it, not because, and comedians do that to us too.
Mm-hmm.
Comedians take the most serious things in life and they play it back to us humorously, and we laugh about it. As a part of you goes, I'm not sure that I should be laughing about this, which enters into the whole conversation about the appropriateness of various comedians. Sometimes some people just go, that's completely inappropriate. But what they've really done is they're hopping off the train and they're encouraging us to kind of, there's a funny side to this.
Oh.
Even the most serious thing, that there's that this can be much more playful than what it is,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the deeper truth comes out in that moment too. Your example with the learning was beautiful. It's like he's not going to remember the person's not going to remember the English lesson, but they're going to fall in love with a learning environment.
Mm.
That's so much better. So yeah, I don't know. I just encourage people to find little ways to just feel secure enough in yourself to just go, yeah, we can play with this. That's what I would like for everyone.
Oh.
However, whatever that is for you, whatever it is.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know. Also, thanks for joining us for all of these episodes, and let us know. Let us know what you want to hear next from us. We're 30 episodes in. If you've got any burning questions, we love to hear from you. I always say this every time, but genuinely, reach out. Or don't. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to Heart Riffing. If today's conversation resonated, you can find more of our work, including courses, mentoring, and workshops, at www.wayoftheheart.com.au or on our Instagram, Way of the Heart Official. We'd love to hear your thoughts, reflections, or questions, so please always feel free to message or comment. We look forward to seeing you next time.